15-year-old now facing charges in a murder that took place last week in North St. Louis County. According to county police, it happened just before 5 p.m. on January 7th. Officers responded to a scene on Glengarry Road and found 34-year-old Johnathan Brown shot to death. Well, today, county police announcing they have arrested a 15-year-old boy, charging him with second-degree murder and armed criminal action. First Alert 4 right now is working to learn if that teen will be charged as an adult.
Money rains down from the ceiling. A father laughs, directing his son to pose for the camera. It's a 15th birthday party in December 2025, and Johnathan Brown is celebrating big. But look closer at the birthday boy's face. He's not smiling. He's not excited. He looks trapped. 2 weeks after this party, Johnathan Brown was dead in his Glasgow village home. The person arrested for pulling the trigger? His own son. The same teenager you're watching stand there miserable while everyone around him celebrates. This is the story of a father who just got out of prison and wanted to give his kids everything, and a 15-year-old who felt like he had nothing. On January 7th, 2026, in St. Louis County, Missouri, everything came crashing down.
Let me see, my daddy. Let me see. Hey, turn around, my daddy. Okay. Go on in, fat daddy. Now leave your glasses on. Go on in. I can't see. Yes, you can. Shut up.
After an argument that day, legend. That's what his father called him in social media posts. Allegedly waited. Waited until Johnathan fell asleep. And then fired. Have you ever watched someone throw a party that felt more like a performance than a celebration? Drop a comment below because this case raises questions we all need to think about. But before we break down what happened that night, let's look at the footage and hear from the people who knew them.
Yo, we got a crazy, when I say crazy story, we got a crazy story coming out of St. Louis, Missouri. Now, we have seen more than a few times where children have turned on their parents and either seriously hurt them or unalived them. So we have another situation where a kid has unalived their parent, right? And we have Johnathan Brown of St. Louis, Missouri. Now, Johnathan Brown, needless to say, was a good guy, but he was no angel. And by me saying that, he served 4.5 years either in the state penitentiary or the federal penitentiary. Regardless, he was gone for 4.5 years. But at this time, he had kids, and he had a son particularly named Legend. And when he left, Legend was 9 years old. And when he came back, Legend was 14. Now let me say this. From the ages of 9 to 14, these young men need their fathers the most, and he wasn't there. And sometimes when we run in these streets, we don't think about the repercussions that our actions can cause. So by the time he got out of jail, and this young man was 14 years old, he had already been on the news for carjacking. So he was already into the streets. He was already running around doing what he wanted to do. So when he got out, of course, he started living with his daddy. Now, you got to understand, this changed this young man's whole life, living with his daddy, because I'm pretty sure his daddy didn't allow certain shit as his mom did, right? But he was already caught up and captivated with the street life by his father being gone for 4.5 years. That's a critical and pivotal time to be there. Now, if you'd have went to jail, you was 5, came back when he was 9, y'all would have had a better understanding. But at this point, he probably thinking he grown. He already running around with a gun, jacking cars. So he threw a party for Legend in December. Legend made 15. Now, the details are unclear. A little while after, a couple of weeks after this birthday party was thrown, I'm most likely guessing that they got into a disagreement. I'm pretty sure Legend father didn't want to let him do something and didn't want to allow him to do something. So Legend pretty much picked up a firearm. He waited till his father went to sleep and shot his father in the head and took the car. Yes, shot his father in the head and took the car. You have to understand, when you out of a kid's life for this amount of time, you don't know that kid anymore. You don't know that kid. You have to relearn that kid. Yes, that's your son. But I'm not saying he's a bad person, but we are negligent to go to jail for those many years and expect everything to come out all good. But this definitely is an unfortunate situation. Love your kids and respect your kids. You feel what I'm saying? Because this stuff should not ever happen.
Welcome back. Now that you've seen the videos and heard the interviews, let's talk about what actually went down on January 7th. It was late afternoon in Glasgow Village, a quiet area in St. Louis County. Inside the Brown home on Glengarry Road, Johnathan and his son had been arguing. We don't know every detail of what was said, but whatever happened left things tense. Johnathan eventually went to rest, and that's when Legend made his decision. At 4:51 p.m., St. Louis County Police got the call. Suspicious death. When they arrived, they found Johnathan Brown with at least one gunshot wound. He was pronounced dead right there at the scene. Legend had already left. He'd taken his father's car and driven off. For 5 days, investigators worked the case. They focused on family members, and on January 12th, they made an arrest. Legend was taken into custody and charged with second-degree murder and armed criminal action. Because he's only 15, his identity is legally protected. The case is being handled in family court, which means the public won't get to see how this plays out in the courtroom. But the damage? That's already done. So let's talk about Johnathan Brown, because understanding him is key to understanding this whole situation. Johnathan had just been released from prison. He'd done his time, and according to friends, he came out a different man. He talked about Bible study behind bars. He talked about change. He wanted to build what he called generational wealth for his 3 sons. That wasn't just talk. He opened a barbershop. He posted constantly about his boys online. "Daddy, love you. I give the world to all my Lou boys." Every caption was filled with pride. That birthday party in December, that was Johnathan's way of showing everyone he was back, that he could provide, that he was the father he believed his sons deserved. The money thrown in the air, the gifts, the whole production, it was all part of his vision. He was loud about his love. He wanted the world to see it. But here's where things get complicated. That party wasn't really about Legend. It was about Johnathan. It was about proving something to everyone watching. And while Johnathan directed the camera, hyped up the moment, and soaked in the attention, Legend stood there looking like he wanted to disappear. The comments on that video said everything. "That kid looks miserable. Someone check on him. Read the room." Strangers on the internet could see what the adults in that living room couldn't or wouldn't. This teenager was uncomfortable. He wasn't celebrating. He was enduring. Now let's flip the perspective, because Legend's side of this matters too. We don't have a full statement from him. We don't know every thought running through his head, but we have that video and we have the outcome. A 15-year-old doesn't shoot his father in his sleep unless something has been building for a long time. Think about what Legend was dealing with. A father who just came home from prison, full of energy and big plans. Expectations everywhere. Be grateful. Smile for the camera. Look at everything I'm doing for you. But what if what Legend needed wasn't party? What if he needed space? What if he needed his father to stop performing and just listen? 15 years old is already hard. Add a parent trying to make up for lost time, trying to prove they've changed, trying to build something big and loud, and suddenly you're not a kid anymore. You're a prop in someone else's redemption story. That argument on January 7th, we'll probably never know exactly what triggered it. But whatever was said pushed Legend past a breaking point. And instead of walking away, instead of calling someone, instead of finding any other option, he waited until his father closed his eyes. And he made a choice that can't be undone. Let me be clear about something. I'm not here to tell you Legend was right. I'm not here to excuse what happened. Johnathan Brown is dead and a family is destroyed. But I am here to ask the hard questions, Because if we don't, we miss the point entirely. This case isn't just about one family in Missouri. It's about the distance between what we think we're giving and what people actually need from us. Johnathan loved his sons. There's no question about that. But love without listening is just noise. Providing without connecting is just transaction. You can throw money in the air. You can buy gifts. You can post about how much you care. But if the person standing in front of you is silently screaming for help and you don't hear it because you're too busy celebrating yourself, then all of that means nothing. And here's the part that haunts me about this case. The warning signs were everywhere. Visible. Public. Thousands of people saw that birthday video and knew something was off. But no one intervened. No one pulled Johnathan aside and said, "Your son isn't okay." No one gave Legend a safe space to say, "Dad, this isn't what I need." Everyone just watched. And 2 weeks later, Johnathan was dead. So, what do we take from this? What's the lesson here? If you're a parent, especially one trying to rebuild after being gone, hear this. Your kids don't need you to be perfect. They don't need grand gestures or viral moments. They need you to be present. Actually present. Not performing presence, but living it. Ask questions. Listen to the answers. Notice when they're uncomfortable, even if it ruins the vibe of your celebration. And if you're someone who feels unseen, unheard, suffocated by someone else's expectations, there are other ways. I know it doesn't always feel like it. I know sometimes the pressure gets so heavy you can't breathe. But taking a life, including your own, is never the answer. Talk to someone. A teacher, a friend, a counselor, anyone. Because once you cross that line, there's no coming back. Now I want to hear from you. Could this have been prevented? If you were at that birthday party and saw Legend's face, would you have said something? What do you think was really going through his mind? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, because this conversation matters. And let me ask you this. Have you ever felt trapped by someone who thought they were helping you? Or have you ever been so focused on doing something good that you missed the person right in front of you? Let's talk about it. If this story affected you, if it made you think differently, hit that like button. Share this video with someone who needs to hear it. Hit that subscribe button because we're not just covering cases. We're asking why they happen and what we can learn. Johnathan Brown wanted to give his son the world, but what Legend needed was just to be heard. And now, both of them have lost everything. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.